Today I'm going to be doing a demonstration of two-wire audible silence. So, if you don't know what audible silence is, it's basically a feature on a fire alarm system that basically lets you have it so the horns will shut off, but the strobes will keep running on a system. So this is not a common feature anymore with new codes and NFPA 72 2013, I believe, no longer allowing this because of the fact that it can confuse deaf people. But some older systems still have it, and even some new retrofits will still have it sometimes. So yeah. So what I have here is my Wheelock Exceeder. Now, because it's 2R, you might be wondering, how are you supposed to activate the two audible silence feature? If you know about 4-wire devices, you probably know that you can activate it by just cutting off the power of the horn, but keeping the strobe to the power of the strobe. This is how, like, if you have a 4-wire device, you can do it from the panel, just so that your horn neck to silenceable and your strobe neck to non-silenceable, and your strobes will keep going, unless it's a weird device. So sometimes devices are weird. So how you activate this feature on a 2-wire device? Well, A, you need a panel that supports sync for the sync protocol for your manufacturer. This is a Wheelock Exceeder, so you can use Wheelock Sync. And second of all, you need a sync module. This is a Wheelock SM sync module. This is the older kind. It's not dual. It's only Class B and only does one circuit. So how do you activate it? Well, on a panel, you can actually configure it to keep the sync protocol running and use the silence feature in the sync protocol. But if your panel doesn't support that, or using a power supply, you have to use one of these sync modules. So what I have is a power supply. I hook up to the sync module, and then I have a single power supply. I'm using a little jumper thing. So that's two inputs. Usually you hook up the horn input to your panel's silenceable, and then this is actually strobe input, and then this is actually the horn input over here. This is the horn input. You set this to silenceable, and you set this non-silenceable. And if you wanted to sync your devices, but without audible silence, you just run a jumper between the audible and the strobe. It's different the other way, or the same way, just don't set anything that's silenceable. But I have it set, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a screwdriver to remove. I'm going to plug it in and use a screwdriver to remove one of the wires from the jumpers, and it will activate audible silence. Alright, here we go, and I'm only using this one device for this example. You would usually have multiple devices on the system, of course. And now it's silenced. Take my hearing protection off, because I don't want to go deaf. So you can see the strobe's still going, but the horn is not. So basically what the sync module is doing is changing its cadence, which will tell the horn to shut off. Or in this case, all the horns in the building would respond to the action and shut off the horns, let the strobes stay in sync. And you do this by pressing the silence button on the panel. And this is a 2-wire device. Only 2 wires are going to the device. It's just changing the sync cadence of the thing to tell it that you need to shut up the horns. I'm going to go ahead and plug it in. This is going to simulate, plug the wire back in. This is going to simulate that you, another alarm just came up on the panel. It's activating the audible neck again. You can hear the sync cadence change. Just like that. And mind you, only 2 wires are going into this device. And now, when you're done, just reset the panel, and Audible goes away. Now you can actually make it do strobe only, so I'm going to keep it disconnected. I'm just gonna plug it in. It's gonna do a short blur, and it's gonna do audible silence. Obviously, this is not how you would have it configured on a real system, but if you want to do a hobby and just have it run the strobe, just know that the horn will blur for 2 seconds, and it'll go back to the strobe only mode. And again, I can just plug the wire back in, and the horn will go. So yeah, it's basically the horn device is basically responding to different same cadence. This is the relay right here. And then this also has a timer circuit, which will change the timer based on. So it's kind of like addressable. It's not really addressable, but it's sort of like that. Again, when we're done, just reset the panel and plug the power supply, and then it'll go back to normal state. Usually it's send a reverse polarity. The panel would send a reverse polarity for the device, which would, I guess, eventually go to this device and remove the device, and it would give you a trouble. But yeah, so that's a demonstration of 2-wire audible silence. So yeah, that's about it. Thanks for watching, and see you later. This is CaptainChris again. One thing I was gonna mention that I forgot to mention in the last clip, that if you have one of these like Alexa devices, which that has a horn, this one is just a remote strobe. But if it's a horn, there's actually a temporal 4 feature on this. And when you set that temporal 4 and you have the sync module and you only input the strobe input, it will actually make the horn do temporal 4 on it. So there's also just a temporal 3, and I actually allow you to do audible silence. Just hit temporal 3, but if you want the strobe, if you want the horn to only do temporal 4, you just only hook up the strobe input and then the out to the device, and then you set the you don't plug in the audible, you just hook up the strobe, and then the just set it to temporal 4 on here as temporal 3 / temporal 4, and then when you're done, when you sign it off the device, it'll be doing temporal 4. I don't know why they couldn't have made it so you can use temporal 4 with the sync module, but I guess whatever. That's about it. Thanks for watching.